all programming languages these days can be separated into two large groups, compiled languages and interpreted languages. In the case of compiled languages, your application code is being converted into machine code by a compiler. Then, machine code can be executed by the processor. So compiled languages, they do require this extra build step. In the case of interpreted language, an interpreter runs through your program code line by line and executes each command. Back in the day, compiled languages were known for a faster execution time, but these days the gap has shrinked a lot. JavaScript is an interpreted programming language, and to run it, we need an interpreter. An easiest option would be using an internet browser. Google Chrome, in our case, will be the preference. So let's just go ahead and write some basic HTML here. I'm gonna throw in a paragraph with some random text. Perfect. Now we want to let our browser know that we want to execute some JavaScript code. How do we do this? Simply by creating a script tag. Inside the script tag, I'm going to place a JavaScript command. I'm just gonna say alert hello world. Save. And at this point, everything I need to do is just open this HTML page in the browser. Let's go ahead and do that. Index HTML. There we go. Our message pops up. Hello world. Okay. And here's the text. Script tag can be embedded in any part of an HTML document, and your browser will know to execute it. So if I put this, for instance, in our head tag, nothing should change. Save, refresh the page. Hello world, same message pops up. Script tags can also have attributes. One of them is type, noted as text/JavaScript, and language, JavaScript. All these attributes are doing is they are telling our browser, hey, everything inside this script tag is going to be the JavaScript code. These attributes used to be a requirement in older browsers, supporting HTML version 4. Nowadays, these are not the requirement, and you can simply skip them. Save. Everything looks the same. Other way we can use to connect our JavaScript program to the page is by referencing the external JavaScript file in an src attribute of the script tag. Let's look at an example. I'm just going to go ahead and create another file in here. I'll call it index.js. And in here, I'm going to say alert index.js. Save. In our HTML document, all I need to do is to create another script tag. And I'll reference a path to our index file, index.js over here. Hit save. Let's go back to the browser and refresh the page, see what happens. Hello world, our first script message pops up. Okay. Index.js. The second message triggered as well. This over here is a much more common way of referencing your JavaScript tag because your JavaScript program can get quite large, and it's a good practice to have it in a separate file. So how about we go ahead and write a little bit more code. I'm gonna wipe this down and go directly into our index.js, and I'll just throw in another alert statement. Hello, dear user. To build a JavaScript program, we're using something called instructions or statements. Instructions are a common way of telling JavaScript what to do. Statements or instructions are separated by semicolon from one another. However, semicolons may be omitted in a lot of cases. For example, if we have a line break, semicolon is not required. If I take the semicolon out, hit save, and then go back to the browser and refresh, we should still see everything we expect seeing. Index.js and hello dear user. Even though skipping semicolons is allowed, it is not considered a good practice. And if you're just beginning your way in JavaScript, I would suggest always use semicolons to separate your commands. One other very important concept to mention is comments. If you're writing a lot of JavaScript code and you're part of a team, for other team members, it may become really hard to understand what a certain piece of code is doing. For that purpose, in JavaScript, there exists something called comments. To create a comment, I would just put 2 forward slashes over here, and I'll throw some text. A comment is a text that JavaScript interpreter will not interpret. It will just skip it and continue to the next command. If I save this and go back to the browser, refresh the page, we'll still see the same result. Comments can be multi-line as well. If I put forward slash asterisk, then asterisk and forward slash again, over here, I can have as much text as I want. You also need to understand and remember that nesting multi-line comments is not allowed. If I were to create another multi-line comment in here, this will not work. See how even my IDE is arguing about this? Unterminated regular expression literal. It's basically telling me, hey, something is wrong here. And if I try to go back to the browser and refresh the page, I'll see that my JavaScript is not triggering, it's not working, so something is wrong. Let's get rid of this, save, go back, refresh. Everything is back to normal.